Maybe they decide, well, we ain't got no space to do it.
Wouldn't that be?
West County's got the money.
That's a good point.
Let it go to state. You know, we can afford through.
Then you put all in the pot.
In the mix, yeah.
If, put the lid on. Space.
No, that's all I have to say, sorry. Put that out there.
I did double check our road and flood rates and they are correct. I had asked for, I went through the worksheets, I understood the math, and I asked Natalie at the appraisal district if she would, not appraisal, you know what I mean, tax office, if she would do the, if she could dumb it down for me a little bit, you know. I understand the math and whatever, but, you know, the why wasn't clicking. Her answer is pretty technical, but I'll go ahead and read it to you anyway. She pretty much followed the math. So the question was, why the road and flood rate is more under the voter approved rate than the no new revenue rate. For road and flood, there's no debt taken into account. So when just looking at the road and flood calculations page, which is 16 to 35 of your tax worksheets that are in there, you're comparing last year's values to 2020 values. The no new revenue rate just for road and flood is 0.0875, which makes sense because 2019 rate was 0.0896. That we didn't have a question about. The values went up to net about the same amount of tax dollars that no new revenue rate would go down. Then you adjust the rate for 2020 and in line 39, multiply by 1.035, and that's where the 0.0906 came from. Which again is just following the math on those worksheets that you have. So basically the answer is it all involves whether or not the debt rate is included in a calculation determines why these rates are different. So in the road and flood, the debt is not taken into account. So you go a little bit more into your road and flood on your rollback rate. Makes no sense to me.
It does to me, and that's that way. Because
So, like I said, I can follow the math and the math makes sense. The why is just, when I used to tutor algebra, I just said you don't ask why, you just follow X, Y, and Z. So that's just kind of where I'm at now. I'm following X, Y, and Z. Where do I separate this? I'm done. Does that help you at all, Gary?
Yes.
Okay, good, because it did help me.
Well, I'm just wondering.
Well, no,
Why it
I
was up.
understood too, yeah, but that's
Why?
What was your
because
question?
the debt doesn't, if we were gonna have to separate you two.
What, say that again?
Please don't make her repeat that.
No, I heard all that. I didn't understand what you were saying.
Well, the road and flood rate went up from what it was last year, and I was wondering why. And it was because the debt rate didn't get figured into it. But I was also wondering if we could have left it at last year's rate or the effective rate and put the leftover into the general fund. Instead of it having 0.0906, we do 0.0875, and then that other
I mean, I guess we could.
0.0031 could go into
I
the,
spend a lot of time apologizing that we don't have to maintain our road.
Yeah, I don't need it, but
So
now I
the,
understand what he's.
I spend a lot of time apologizing for not enough money in the road and flood trying to do the paving job, to do the paving repair you need to do, with all this stuff fall apart.
no, I mean, that's fine.
I'm just saying, so if you're not ready to take an extra hit there.
Do we know how much that would be, or an approximate? I'm just curious, I think it's a great idea.
It's 0.0031, and I don't know what that figures out in months.
If we can get that into Road and Bridge, I think the difference,
Oh,
I
my
think,
calculator.
I think that would be awesome.
Yeah.
To move that into the paved road.
Let me get my phone calculator out. There's not enough digits on my little plastic one over here. Let me try that again.
They want to get you all the
Or that's-
I think that'd be a great idea.
Yeah, somewhere or another, we're gonna get some more money that maintenance.
Well, Shaw's been saying that since the get-go, and I'm with him because there's, like I said, there's always,
100% with.
we've done the tax note before to just give us a little boost to help us catch up.
And I'm in favor of that if we have to.
We're slowly falling, I'm slowly falling further and further behind as far as pay.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, you know, like I say, you get tired of apologizing, and we don't have the money. You know, but you know, we'll never have enough money,
Well,
but we need to at least try to maintain what we've got.
you know, and I'll tell you this, you know, y'all are the road and bridge experts, but you know, and Brownwood is my adopted hometown, but I'm originally born and from Granbury. And that's an excellent example of look, because they got so far behind on their infrastructure. That's why they're in the position that they're in now. Now, we'll never be the size of Granbury, but still, their paving roads should have been paved 25 years ago.
And right there next to them, because of the nuclear plant, remember the little pig trail in, Somerville County was made.
Well, at some point, we were able,
Somerville County was living on
Got lots of money.
Comanche people.
I don't know where they got it.
Yeah. They're bankrupt right now
Oh, yeah,
because they can't raise taxes high enough to,
Yeah.
to
They
make
built
up
all the
for
new
the
school and
difference.
all that, but they got a lot of things done while they had that money.
but at some point, they were able to pave all these roads out and all, we got pretty, but now we can't afford to maintain the ones that are already paved. I mean, it's because the asphalt costs got high.
Anybody don't think, say, oh, you get roads paved, there won't be no maintenance, that's bull.
Well, but it takes a lot of money to pave roads.
Everybody's a road expert, so they figure out.
Well, they used to pave roads that were, when pavement was, I guess, relatively cheap, they pave over any kind of base material.
Oh, that's exactly what happened.
Because, you know, they want to shoot oil on these little rocks over here, but now you.
You know, that's the problem, what happened 40 years ago or 30 years ago, we're paying for right now.
That's right.
It was just barely done.
Yeah.
Then.
They were done to the very minimum
Yeah,
possible if they were any
Like
standards.
that old May Road that we redid part of a year or two or three ago. The guy made this comment, one of the guys on, said, yeah, y'all not putting much space out of this, that lasts longer than we will.
Well, a lot of those roads around the lake that were, I think the county ended up getting dedicated to them later, or whatever they used, you know, they were built by developers or whatever years ago, and they did the very minimum they could and all, and they were on the, at some point, I know that I got another road from the, since I've been here, I know I inherited some more of those roads from that were used to be water development board lake stuff, I mean, so. Some of that stuff was thrown at us that was never done proper in the first place, but we can afford to do the maintenance on the paved roads we have right now.
That'll
Let's
be
pave a
a
new road.
priority this year.
So,
All this other stuff, like these people coming in here and paying for money, I'm not moving on any of that until we do something about it, get us fixed.
Personally, I'm in, you know, as much as I hate taxes, period, I'm in favor of the tax note. We've got to have roads. We've just got it.
Got a lot of other infrastructure beside roads.
Jennifer, I'm at 9:15. Are we ready for home solutions?
I am if you are.
All right. Come on up.
Okay,
Wasting their time.
good morning.
We done this.
Good morning. Thank you for sitting patiently.
Well, it's quite entertaining.
She said through Monday.
Well, I didn't know which day I was
Last
having, I didn't want to miss
Wednesday.
the opportunity to address it like that. So can everybody understand me okay? I'm not too muffled?
No, we can hear you.
All right, good.
I can hear you.
Okay, cool. I want to thank y'all for the opportunity to address y'all. And I also want to thank you for the $10,000 grant you gave me last year. It was vital in helping us get the shelter prepared and open. And we did open at the end of January, and even though we were only open for like 6 weeks during the cold season, we still used 66 bed nights. I'm sorry, do y'all mind if I take this off?
Yeah.
I don't mind wearing it when I'm not talking, but anyway, including one family with children. And we had, my original goal, desires for the shelter was for it to be a starting point to connect people with other services if they wanted. And that's exactly what happened. I was able to connect people with services. We had 3 applicants to our transitional housing program, 2 of which were accepted. And so it's gonna be doing its job. We're making improvements for this year. We're adding, an ADA room downstairs, as well as a shower room. And I've applied for grants to the state to help pay for that. So we really are, we're making a huge difference in the community. We're helping, people to keep from becoming homeless through our community assistance program. And I had, an awesome thing happen. I guess it was about 6 weeks ago. I had the manager of CC's Pizza call me, and she said that she had seen a man living underneath a bridge, and she stopped to talk to him. And she gave him a job, and she was calling me to see if I could help find him a place to live. And so I contacted one of the apartment complexes I work closely with, and he was accepted over there. Coggin Baptist Church helped move him in. We covered his first month's rent. They helped pay his security deposit. We have tons of furniture. The police department gave us a bicycle. So within 4 days, this man went from living under a bridge to employed and a home, which I thought was just awesome, amazing of how this community is supposed to work. The thing that really surprised me though, was when I spoke to this man directly, he had no idea who we were or what we did. So even though I've done a good job in educating the community about what we do, I've not done a good job in reaching people at the street level. A lot of them know about the transitional housing program, but they don't know anything else. So what I'm doing this year, and I've already begun to a point, is I want to seriously ramp up our street outreach program. So to date, what that has entailed is giving hygiene packs to the homeless whenever they come in. Plus, they are in every law enforcement vehicle in the county, with the exception of banks. And so, and we give out blankets, and now I've started giving out travel food because Salvation Army is on reduced days. And we're updating our resource guide and putting out flyers to let people at the street level know who we are and what we do. And we have also expanded what we're doing. One of the big, I know y'all asked me last year what was some of the biggest barriers to housing and jobs for these people. And what I have found is it's the lack of identification. And going through the process to get identification, if you have none, is really hard. And so I have started bringing them to the courthouse. I saw you there last week, getting people's birth certificates. The county clerk's office is working well with me, making appointments with DPS, applying for social security cards, so that we can really make a difference with them. So what I'm wanting to do this year is I'm actually wanting to hire a part-time case manager to help take the load off of me, because I'm going more, as we're growing, and we're seriously growing, I'm going more grant funding, because our budget for next year is going to be almost $250,000. And that's too big for the community to support. But we are making a huge difference. And so in my proposal, I outlined, detailed exactly how I'm going to use the funds that I'm requesting. I'm requesting $10,000 again this year, but it's for our street outreach program, to be able to help those in the community and make a real difference at the street level even more. And once the Salvation Army opens their dining room back up, we're going to have a presence there every week, giving out the packs, as well as letting people know who we are, what we're doing, start developing relationships at the street level, and so that we can continue to make a difference.
So for the record, you're just asking for the same amount that you had
Yes, sir.
last year?
Yes, sir, just for a different purpose.
Questions?
Wayne? Your questions?
Clear, Mud?
No answer, Keith.
I'm sorry?
I said, he had any questions, and yeah, but also don't have any answers.
Okay, all right.
All right, thank you.
All right, well, thank y'all very much. I appreciate y'all.
And I'm excited about your plans.
Well, thank you very much. It's making a really difference. It really is. So, thank you.
Certainly get to those people in the state, just for those 66 nights.
Yeah, absolutely. So, thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am. And I do hear the difference in the community. I do hear about it.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Okay.
All right, next we have Humane Society, we're about 5 minutes ahead of schedule. That's unprecedented. I don't think we've ever been ahead of schedule. You're welcome to come on up though.
Well, it's not good, just in.
Good morning. Good morning.
My name is Leila Clayton. I am the current director, shelter director at the Brown County Humane Society, Ranger Smith Animal Center. So, we wrote a letter for a substitute for Brown County. I don't know if any of you've been to the shelter lately.
I did a tour about 3 months ago.
Okay, so you need to come back
Okay.
because
That was before.
Yes, about 3 months ago was when I started, and the day that I walked in there was 144 dogs on property and 48 cats. Our maximum capacity is 70 dogs.
It was pretty full when I was there. It may have been as much as 4 months ago because you hadn't started yet.
Yeah. It was awful, it really was. Right now, when I left last night, we had a capacity of 29 dogs and about 30 kitties, which would be cats, obviously. So, and we've had no euthanasias, except for sick kids.
That's very important to me particularly.
Yes, we managed to transfer out well over 400 dogs in the last 3 to 4 months to Austin, Dallas, and then further on north, some as far as
Really
Ohio.
have a better chance of being enough. This is it's a passion of mine. I'm very outspoken. I created one of the first no-kill shelters in the state back in my police chief days, so.
Well, our goal is to be, I mean, we are technically at this point no kill because that's your 10% percentage. We'll leave that list because of kitten season for a couple of months, but then we'll go back. So it's really my goal to be a low kill. And, you know, just because there are situations. It's my goal to never, ever go over capacity. And even 70 dogs is the stress capacity.
I'll be honest to you, I was very disappointed when I left at the cleanliness and the situation in its entirety. That was back during all the turmoil.
I remember reading about some people blow up.
There was, and I wanted to see what the blow up was about, so I asked for a tour.
It was horrible the day that I walked in. I mean, I've been in veterinary medicine for 30 years, and when I walked in there, I wanted to throw up. And the smell of animals does not bother me. And in the process before I became shelter director, I was out there on a daily basis, painting and cleaning and painting and cleaning. And there was fecal material on those walls. I'd been there for a year or two, so it was disgusting.
How many paid staff do you have now?
Right at this very moment, I have 9, probably by next week I'll have 8. So I've been trying to.
Just wonder if that not person knows that.
No, unfortunately, we're not the highest paying job in the world, and it's probably one of the more stressful jobs in the world. So, employees tend to come and go, and that's the way it is. But I have some really good employees right now, good key employees, and we've done a lot of work, a lot of time, and our biggest success was we just got a new transport van because the one that we were using was literally held together with duct tape. You know, and they say that duct tape fixes everything,
I'm not sure how that vehicle passed inspection.
because if you opened up the back, it fell off.
Anymore.
Yeah, you're gonna try that. It's hard to get those crates in and out though. Anyways, we wrote a grant that was successful, for half of it, and then I had a wonderful donor write me a check for the other half, and so we managed to secure a brand new transfer van. It cost me $22,000, 23, and just through donations and grants, and so now we're ready to rock and roll. We've got a nice van and we can transfer. So.
Is our current, it's never adequate, but are you asking for an increase, or I know what our funding is. My
We
opinion,
did not,
we don't give you enough for the amount of business that we send you, but we give you what we can afford.
Yeah, you know, this year we couldn't do our fundraising like everybody else.
Right.
You know, we haven't done our fundraising, and it's definitely taking a toll on our operating budget. You know, it's just, it is what it is, and I know that everybody's suffering because of COVID. And, you know, we're gonna try to do some fundraising this fall, if we're able to. We have lots of ideas in place, but, you know, without knowing how this COVID goes, it's very hard to.
Did you get all of the accounts and names on account and get all that sorted out? Or is that just am I opening that up?
Yeah, so, yes, names on accounts have been all sorted out, we got all the banks, taken back, bank accounts were taken back, and that was a mess.
Yeah, it was.
We still have some accounting messes that I don't think we'll ever get to the bottom of, because when the crazy people left, they took a lot of stuff with them, and we just have to start again, you know, and we'll have to just write off, you know, expenses, because we'll never be able to track it. It's been a lot of work trying to chase some of those paper trails, it really has.
Well, just for the record, everyone sitting here knows full well how much y'all do for us and how much business we send you. You know, like I said, we wish we could give you more money, or all the money you need, but we give you what we can afford.
Right, yeah. Well, we're all in the same, we're all in this together, right?
We got a dog meow about 6 or 7 months ago. He was good at me. Got run over the other day. He never went out to the highway. Peanut.
Oh, that's sad.
Yeah. Our wife, she loved it.
Well, when your wife gets ready, tell her to come on back.
Come back in.
I have, for some reason, I have the supply.
Are you asking for an increase this year, or are you just
No, I
asking
think
us to
we were
stay?
asking for the 85 one.
Stay what you had last year?
Right.
Well, I'm terribly sorry that your fundraising is, but you're right, that's everywhere.
It is, it's everywhere. We counted on our Canine Cats, fundraiser in March. That was, you know, a $60,000 hit that we took and not being able to have it. And really personally, I don't think we could have had it even if it wasn't COVID, just because of all the infrastructure that was happening. And it was just, you know, the publicity that the show was getting. So
Yeah, that had to have hurt as well.
it really hurt. It really hurt all the donations. It's taken a lot of work to get back people's trust. So,
The things have stabilized over there?
Yeah.
You say you're the current, you're the interim, or you the person?
I am the current shelter director, yes.
Well, staying, is the interim in front of your title, or are you?
No,
No,
Okay.
no more interim.
no more interim.
No.
You're the person.
Yeah, the buck is stopping with me at the moment, so I invite everybody to come out. We're open to the public every day, 1 to 4. Come out, we'll tour you around, we'll let you see the changes, especially like if you were there 4 months ago, you won't believe the change. I mean, the first
It was
change,
pretty bad.
yeah, the first change you'll notice is when you walk in the lobby, it doesn't make you want to throw up.
I heard all that.
Yeah.
We're gonna help you any way we can.
Okay. Any other questions? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
That's my place. We have to be there, but.
Ten.
No, we're at a time. So they may have-
You wanna take a restroom break, or what do you wanna do? I don't think we should start this before they're here.
No.
I mean, I'm not sure somebody's gonna show up. But we
We're
need,
not due till 9:45. So if anybody else started.
well, emergency management, you wanna go ahead and go?
Not emergency management.
Yeah. Carol, would you like to come on up?
I didn't see a request on your office yet.
I don't have, there's nothing I need. We just requested the same as last year, is what I told them.
I said I hadn't seen it. Get some homework.
You're about, Erie, you're about 3 seconds away. He was saying that he didn't see it in the packet, he's about to make it.
And now what, Josie, what do you got now? Okay.
And again, under county, where you see those, we're gonna save a ton of money this year under indigent defense, but when, it'll be after October, but when the court reopens, that's gonna really,
You make them back, yeah.
oh, it will, because we gotta catch up.
We make up for a lot of this stuff.
Yeah, they're still getting arrested out there, we're just not having any court cases. All right, Daryl,
Morning.
good morning.
Let me come speak to y'all this morning. I guarantee you I'm better emergency manager than I am speaker.
Well, listen, we're honored to have you.
Been here for a month now and kind of getting my head wrapped around a lot of them, still got a long way to go. Couple of items that came up immediately that we need to address. The first, Judge asked me to look into the IPAWS, which is the Integrated Public Alerting System. We currently use Code Red, which is basically, just got kind of, the second page is kind of a cheat sheet for it, kind of the high points. We have a current contract with Code Red, costs us $73.75 annually. Expires, we're halfway in the 2-year contract, expires November 21. Code Red is a subscriber service, so basically the citizens, if you're on the internet, sign up for the service, and that gets some weather and public service announcements. What the IPAWS system does, and it's was developed by FEMA, and it was set in motion by Presidential Executive Order 13407 back in, I believe it was 08, 07 or 08. And you've got a little handout that page 10 is kind of gives you a little more detail. But basically what IPAWS does, it reaches out to everybody in the county if there's a life-threatening event. It doesn't cover the public service announcements and that type of thing. But like we've got a wildfire, we need to evacuate an area. You put in the coordinates, a polygon on the map, draw that, and it'll alert everybody in that area. The difference in Code Red, and they kind of work together. Code Red does just calls us subscribers. Takes a little bit longer to do it because they can only get so many messages at a time. The IPAWS is pretty much instant. So it works just like the Amber Alerts, the Silver Alerts, those you get, you got a cell phone, it pops up immediately. That's what the IPAWS does. Okay, we're asking for a $2,500 increase in the Code Red budget for this year. And what that is the add-on to Code Red to integrate this IPAWS. The IPAWS system itself is free through FEMA, but it's kind of like if you got cable TV, you can't get a lot of those channels without it. You got to have somebody to tie those together. So like the network news and all that comes in through the cable, you pay for the cable. Basically, this $2,500, that's our connection to IPAWS through Code Red. If that makes any sense.
And to reiterate, the IPAWS, you don't sign up for. And that's our biggest problem, is getting people to sign up for the Code Red. IPAWS, if there's a brush fire near your house, you're gonna get a message over your phone, whether you signed up for it or not. I think that's fine.
I do have one question here.
Yes.
So we kind of split this up on these other prices between the other entities.
Right.
Is that something I need to run before everybody else?
And I researched that back in 12, y'all went to let's see, what was it? It was a Delta Alert. And it was divvied up between the Bangs, Brownwood, and Early. Each of those contributed a portion.
Thank you.
Delta Alert, y'all paid $3,000 annually. Brownwood paid $1,575, Early $201. Baines paid 125 now. Yes, that was based on the population at the time. Those numbers probably changed some, so they paid 2/3 of basically the system back then, so it's not something we're looking to. Also, we probably look into a grant, maybe fund the whole thing. iPods is countywide, so like City of Brownwood also has Code Red, but they can't get iPods. It's set up for state and county levels. So if the county does it, it covers the whole county. Somebody comes in, comes to the lake from, Midland, Odessa, or Dallas, or New York. If their cell phone's in and we have an emergency, they get the alert if they're in that affected area. That's a big improvement over the Code Red system. We still, I think, probably need the Code Red to keep, for the public service part of it, which we probably don't utilize enough, but, after this year's over, we can evaluate if we still need the Code Red. There is a standalone iPods available through Code Red or several other vendors that we might want to consider if that's a better option. That would raise our Code Red for this year to $98.75.
So $2,500 covers the entire county.
Right. And that would go into effect November 1 when we anniversary of that yearly contract.
I think it's a discussion that we're going through all this new stuff. We're gonna take our part of dispatch thing or two. This might be something that probably needs to be run by all the other entities too, to see if they reevaluate where everybody's at on it and see where they ought to be on this.
I visited with Chief Hicks about it, and they're real interested in it. They want it. Of course, they can't get it because they're municipality. And I'll visit with others.
I think the main players, of course, be City Early, Brownwood, us, and
How would we break up the amount for them to contribute to it?
they got some percentages broken down right now on the other ones, part of it's on dispatch. They got some different ideas, but I'm just saying it was something that if we're gonna, if they need to be, if they may need to be part of it or something, maybe they might be willing.
Can you, would you mind, and I'll help you, reaching out to Emily Crawford's office and get on the agenda so that the city council can decide whether they officially want to get in on that or
And then early here.
yeah, Tony Aaron and early.
Would we want to pursue a grant if that's planned?
Yeah, but I don't see us getting it before November 1st, do you?
Probably not.
Didn't it say November 2021?
That's when it
That's when the
expired.
That's when
contract ends.
Code Red expires, right?
Yes, sir. We can add the
iPods at any time.
iPods anytime.
Right.
If we add it before the 1-year anniversary, it's a 2-year contract. But at November 2020, we can add iPods for $2,500. We can add it today, but we'd have to pay $2,500 for this. They don't program it.
For the next 3 months.
Yes.
So they have a particular sign-up date, and that's their start date for every year. I think it might be I'm kind of like, I think that's another idea, but I think we ought to did with the other entities.
You also said that iPods wouldn't affect the city of Brownwood. So there's not much need in calling
Well, no,
them
they,
to see if they want in on
They will
that.
get the benefit of the iPods part.
they just can't,
They just can't subscribe to
They
it on
can't
their
initiate
own.
it.
under the
It'll be
federal law,
countywide.
under the federal bill that was assigned, it's only for counties, the city can't
Break it
ask
up,
for it.
pretty much like the ambulance service, I mean, that's pretty much a good.
Yeah.
How those are divided.
And I didn't particularly like that when it was created just for the county level. I thought that the cities out there, I remember when the bill was signed, but that's how they did it.
And I guess the reason they set it up that way, the counties are the highest level in that geographic area, so it makes more sense for the county to be able to push it out to the whole county.
It's like the ambulance.
If we decide to go with it, it requires an MOU be signed with FEMA and some online
MOU.
training.
What's the MOU?
Method of understanding.
Okay.
Agreement that, that will provide anybody that has access to send out these alerts will have the FEMA training to do it properly, basically, and within those parameters. Any other questions?
Not for me, guys, y'all have anything?
second item was salary for the emergency management coordinator. It's currently budgeted for 34,000. I was hired at 28,000. And what I would request is that the salary be set for the same or comparable to the deputies' starting pay for the 2021 budget. EMC job is not like a Monday through Friday job. It's a lot of hours. Most emergencies happen with a portion of them after business hours. Several go through, a couple weeks go through the wildfires. Saw me out. I was probably put in an extra 25, 30 hours that week, which is, it goes with the job. A lot of weeks, you don't, maybe a phone call or two after hours, but no call out. But,
And you're, for the record, you're salaried, not hourly.
yes, mostly. I've got 40 years' experience in fire service. 14 years of that I've been exposed to the FEMA, NIMS, ICS, all of the systems. Made numerous responses throughout the state, and even went to Florida on the hurricane response as a lead for instant management teams. Had a lot of exposure, a lot of experience. If something comes up, we have an emergency, I don't think y'all are gonna want me to respond with, entry level experience. You're expecting, me to be able to use all that experience, so.
Did I understand you say your salary's 28,000,
Yes, sir.
something like that?
I will have to say something. I did, went in and talked
Yeah.
at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, 3 or 4 times during all the wildfires.
Well, if we leave it at present, his budget is budgeted for 34,000. We're paying him $6,000 under what he's sitting, the money sitting in his, I just let you know for,
Yeah, okay, I was fixing to ask why but you got 28 budget 34.
he would,
We had a starting salary.
even though he came to us with 40 years experience. He's took the job at the starting salary, and we're very appreciative of that.
That's all I've got. If there's no any questions,
How long did it take you to grow that Mustang?
40 years.
Thank you, Darryl.
Thank you.
All right, I lost my place. Who we're waiting on?
Museum this year.
Museum? All right, come on up.
Some of these folks serve on more than one board.
Yeah. I'm here for the museum.
Good to see you, my
I
friend.
see you.
Don't do that.
I can't see because my glasses are fogging. I think I'm in the courthouse. I'm here for the museum right now. I'm the current president of the museum board, and I've got the handout for y'all. And, this year especially, every year is kind of tough, but this year especially with the after effects and the current effects of the pandemic, loss of revenue and taxes and whatnot. So we're not asking for the same amount that we did last year. We would appreciate anything, because we know how difficult and tough times are. Last year we received 5,000, which we're very, very grateful for. We've been here 36 years. We haven't been open since all this started, in the middle of March. When all this started, and we closed the museum. We just had a board meeting last week, and I recommended, and they all agreed, that we should hold off on opening it. They're recommending that you do have the museum opened again, it needs to have, where you can't touch things. And our museum, that's all that everything is. It's hands-on. And for that reason, we're gonna wait, hopefully Labor Day, next big holiday that comes open, we're gonna look at the end of this month, maybe beginning of the next month, looking at opening it. If we can ensure that it's a safe environment, for everyone that lives in. In the meantime, we're doing a lot of great work inside the museum. Got some new exhibits,
putting down a little bit of carpet, like a little walkway in that building, because, it's kind of uneven as it is.
Noticed the carpenter down there a lot lately.
Yeah, we're trying to take advantage of the downtime, on a shoestring budget. And there's no duct tape or bathing wire yet, but, we're trying to make it look, aesthetically pleasing to folks that come in. We did get a lot of visitors, we get a lot of folks who are, when we were open, we have a lot of folks who are anxious to come back in and get going again. And y'all know my passion for the museum, and just especially now, with things being torn down and statues being torn down, and we're just losing more and more of our past, and the best way to be better in the future is to look at your past. But if there's no past to look at, then what are you gonna do? I mean, because everything's being destroyed. So we're very fortunate that we have the museum here, and great history of the Kimberly and the military and the pioneer days and all. So we were graciously asking for your continued support with whatever y'all can give. I'm very well aware of what's looking down the horizon for all of us. And we're kind of in a survival mode. There's no, we can see the silver in the clouds, but we're still in the clouds. And so we just gotta, and so that, what I handed out just gives some information. 11,400 is what we're officially asking for. But we would appreciate anything, we sure would appreciate at least the continuation of what we received last year.
What was that number?
5,000, I believe it was 5,000 last year.
But y'all are teaching, y'all showing what history was really like, which is a lot more than I'd say for our most public schools now.
Yeah. And that's real important because I mentioned last time I was here, it seems like yesterday, iPhones and, everybody gets on those things to try to learn about history and all. And you go to the museum, you can literally see a flag from Germany with the swastika, and you can see the military. And then also, like the very first alarm that went off in Pearl Harbor. So here comes the planes, they're coming down, and then they start bombing Pearl Harbor. And the fellow's looking at this thinking it's another exercise. He's thinking it's just they dropped sandbags or something. And so he's thinking and then next thing you know, there's explosions. He jumped, he's working in maintenance, he jumped and he hit the alarm bell, and he was from Blinken. And he was from Blinken, Texas, the first person who set the alarm for World War II for our involvement is from Blinken. And I was just like jumping out of my skin. I was like, his granddaughter, Amber, works at the center. And so she told me, gave me all the information, and I was like, calling me, yeah, we gotta get, because we have such a big exhibit in World War II, but isn't that something, you can't learn that on the phone. And they're not teaching that in school. But that's something that you can pass on and say, and Blanket, the very first person to set the alarm in World War II for our involvement at Pearl Harbor, right down the street. He's one of ours. He's one of our fellows, and so that gets me excited.
What was his name?
I can't remember. I know Amber, I know his granddaughter's name, but I have all that information. And we have it probably at the museum as well. So, just really excited.
One of my favorite quotes is Harry Truman. You were talking about teaching history. He said, everything you need to know about the future, you can learn from the past.
So really, that's all. Just short and sweet. Just appreciate everything y'all do, and praying for y'all because I know you have a big road to toe and haul and stuff. But that's really all that I have to say. Unless y'all have any questions.
Question, Philip?
No, sound like they're doing like a lot of other people, we're just hanging in there, I think.
I consider myself a World War II buff, and I did not know that man was from Blanket. I know the history of the first alarm sound. I had no idea it was from Blanket.
Yeah, I got all kinds of information. I'll share it out with my family, everybody.
A lot of us heroes.
Shaw, I went to school with.
What do you think, Shaw Cotty?
Sorry, Shaw, I know better than that.
I'm a baby
He
boomer.
was probably your daddy's buddy. Probably was your daddy's buddy.
God bless you, man.
Okay, thank you.
Might have been.
We're good?
You're good.
Thank you. I think this is somewhat.
Oh, there is, you're not. Mention
Yeah,
ours.
Fred makes them all.
Third again?
I've got,
You mentioned one next. I was gonna say.
I've got the library.
Oh.
This is probably a good time for me to hand it over to you. You go take care of the system, and I'll be done.
Are you ready for the library? Come on forward.
For the record, goes on television. I've got a civil trial at 10 a.m. I'm going to step out for a few minutes and then I'll be back. Commissioner Kelton's going to take over the meeting.
Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you.
You take it off.
Oh, thank you.
Can't understand.
Judge, do you need my help?
Thank you so much for having me here today. I always have a speech prepared for you, and then everybody else just has a conversation with you. So I'd be happy to tell you all the things we're doing to help our community right now, how we're helping unemployment, just people who don't have internet access, or if you've got any specific questions or concerns, I'd be happy to address those.
Here we go.
I'll look you up. Look at the library. We're finding it in the packets, but we're all.
Okay, I'm sorry.
No, you're fine.
And
Okay,
I think when I sent that packet, it was before the world had fallen apart, so a lot's changed.
you got $35,000 allotment. You're asking
Yes,
for
and
40 is what it's showing in here, but,
yeah, and with everything going on, we're not asking for anything more.
so you're saying we'll take that 35, 40 back to 35 at this moment, is what you're saying?
She's wanted 40.
What it said, she just said she's not
Yeah.
asking.
She's got through saying, what did you say? I'm sorry, say what
She
you said
said she's
again.
not asking.
We'll certainly take, you know, if you wanna give us more, we'd be happy for that, but I believe maybe that was maybe I sent it before, but, you know, with everything going on, we know everything's tight this year, and we're certainly not trying to get more this year.
So like I was saying, so you had an allotment of 35, you got a request of 40, but you're basically saying you'd still be happy with 35.
Yeah.
Okay. That's where I was going with that, Gary. But we appreciate that thought. This is a changing year for us because of the way it's calculated and some new rules placed on us this year, so it's gonna be a trying year, I think. I'm still not sure exactly what the money, where it's gonna be at.
Yeah, we're certainly doing a lot of different things to help with our community and our economics. We're going to get some hotspots that people who don't have internet, maybe they're schooling from home or working from home, they can check them out, and that will give them internet from home. We're doing a series of employment webinars to help people who are out of work revise their resumes. It's actually being done by a company in Austin that was recently named the best in the nation for resume revision services. They're doing a series of webinars or seminars specifically for us that we'll then be able to have here in our community. We had our summer reading club that was mostly distance. We sent the kids home with different science and reading activities and crafts that they recorded and read over the summer. I know the big concern of the schools this summer slide with a much longer space that the kids are at school. They're very worried about how much instruction the kids have lost. We just got a grant for the census, so we'll be partnering with the local census to be doing some events to make sure we get those hard to count populations in Brown County. So we definitely have several things going that we're really trying to meet the needs of our community and our economic development at this time. But I'd be happy to answer any questions you have about the library.
Y'all open generally to the public still, or what are you doing on that?
We are, we don't have evening hours right now, and we're also closed from 12 to 1 for cleaning. We clean, and it also helps encourage people not to stay all day. But apart from that, we've got fewer computers, we've removed most of our seating, so we're encouraging people to get what they need and go. But apart from that, we've got pretty much all our services. We don't have programs, no story time right now. But we do have that. We also have been really focusing on ebooks. A lot of people, ebooks, electronic books you can get on your Kindle or whatever. So we've been really adding to that collection. A lot of people, of course, don't feel comfortable going out, but they can still access the library books through that.
I don't have any other questions, so.
No, I don't even appreciate your work.
Well, thank you so much for your support. We really do appreciate your support of the library.
Any questions for Gary?
No.
Well, okay, we appreciate that.
All right.
Appreciate you thinking of us too.
Thank you so much for having me.
All right, well, you have a great day.
Thank you too.
MHMR, you wanna come back up now and finish your spiel, I mean, your story or whatever?
And then I have to talk about Center for Life Resources,
Say again?
Center for Life Resources.
Okay.
MHMR.
2037.
And that's for y'all.
Increasing insurance if somebody's taking.
There should be enough copies here for everyone.
Sorry.
Larry, let's leave him alone, I guess.
I think it's always good whenever I come and speak to y'all that you have some numbers to look at and see what all's been going on in the county regarding behavioral health services. And so, we'll make sure everybody has a report before I start talking.
Larry. Sharon, you have an extra one, we can put one over here. Good. Sorry,
Oh, yeah, that's fine.
we're still handing out handouts.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, the first report I'm looking at, it says unduplicated client served on the top. And it shows that for the last 12 months, this covers a 12-month period, that we served a total of 2,182 folks within the county. So that's only Brown County. And we served 2,182 people. And then those numbers break it out by programs or type of services that they receive. For example, for intake, we had 656 folks that came in, just brand new. Either they were referred to us for a doctor, or through law enforcement, or a judge. And so we had 656 people that came in through our intake process. We also had on our autism program, that's a new one, we had, and that may seem like a small number, but it was kids. Those are little tiny kids, and so we served 21 individuals, and that's awesome, because we're able to help some children that when they get older, they may not need as many services as many. We're very, very fortunate to have our autism program. As a matter of fact, since our last board meeting, I got a grant, I think it was Friday or might have been Monday, that we've been supplied, that we've been renewed for our funding for our autism program. We're the smallest community MHMR center in Texas to have an autism program. And so we're very, very, there's only like 4 or 5 in the state. So real happy about that. Our Takumi services, you can see that, or was, also I'm looking for our crisis. In our med clinic, you can see is 679.
I'm gonna ask a question what the Takumi is.
That's it's co-occurring, so if you have a mental illness and substance abuse.
Okay.
So I have bipolar disorder and also have a drug issue with that or whatnot. Also in our case management, it looks like 662. I should have brought a ruler. I'm just trying to highlight some of the major services. If you look at 300, where it says unit, oh, thank you so much. Unit 300, and that's our crisis services. This pandemic, if you can imagine someone who's already paranoid and thinks the FBI or whatnot, just has all these, and then you have this pandemic where you can't get out of the house, you have to wear masks. It's really, really hard on those folks. And so we've had a humongous increase, a huge increase on our crisis services. And I know that there's been 3 suicides that I'm aware of. We've had a lot of suicides lately that are directly connected to COVID. We had one young man that he had to stay with his folks. I gotta be careful not saying any HIPAA stuff, but he was staying with his folks and he didn't want to. He was independent, but he had to because of the COVID and whatnot. And it just was too much. And he took his life, and a young lady, same situation. So it's been very trying times this last 3 or 4 months. So we keep thinking, well, maybe next month ease up a little.
And you see the thing that a lot of people are thinking, this COVID deal and the hardship it's caused on people that already had disorders, the elective medical treatments that can't be done. I imagine that probably killed more people than the COVID did, probably, my guess.
Yeah, there's, I know, nationally, more young adults committed suicide than from
Right.
COVID.
Yeah, so, I'm not a COVID fan, I'll tell you that.
Even people.
Well, there's effects though, for sure, but as far as like hurting themselves because of all
I
the
know.
negativity.
I just see people that's acting different, people that just, the whole deal, it just affects a lot.
Yeah.
So back to the autism, so the younger you catch somebody with autism, the better chance you have of getting them in recovery.
Yeah, 100%, 100%.
So that's quite a deal, really.
Yeah, so that's why we had that program, and autism support. That was like a pie in the sky dream of mine when I first moved here, and it took a while, but we're fully funded now. We have very excellent staff, wonderful staff, and a wonderful board that supports us trying to do that new stuff.
And there's a very positive, that's a positive outcome.
Yeah, for sure. Our crisis calls have gone up. We also have a COVID hotline. So if anybody calls because they can't handle the stress and they're depressed and whatnot, we have a regular 1-800 number, suicide hotline. And we have another number that's for COVID. And so if someone calls this number, then they get screened, and if it's determined that, hey, you probably need some counseling, you need some psychiatric help, then we just keep on going with that person services. So, and of course, the state, we're doing that, helping the state out, but we don't get any extra money for it. But sometimes we have to do the right thing, not necessarily, we don't always need to look at the money, we need to look at lives and how many positive impact we can make on folks. So that's just a summary, but 2,182 people just for the county. That's just for, we cover 7 counties. And that's just for the county. And this next report, this one I really deal with the general funding that we asked from y'all for the MHMR funding. This next report summary is specific to the transport, the 50,000 to help with transporting folks. Right now we are in a state of crisis across the state because there's not any beds. There's literally no psychiatric beds to take folks. So me and Chase over at the hospital and Vance, who was here earlier, we work really close together. Last week, we transported someone to Wichita Falls, the hospital there, for about 4 hours. Got there and they refused them. And it was a nursing home patient. And they said, no, we don't think he's qualified. And plus he has some medical conditions. So they didn't take him. So we had to get back in the car and drive all the way back. And we didn't have a successful placement. And so you can see here, it's broke out by hospital, how many folks that we've transported. So we transported 194 people. And then our state, so these are private hospitals. Our state hospitals, which for us is in Austin and Wichita Falls, is 27. So that's 1,079 transport hours. 221 transports is what we did. And you can see the number of calls, 1,530. That's something new that I'm presenting to y'all, because I always ask myself, if I'm a county commissioner or board member, what would I want to know? And then I think, you can see out of 1,500, 810, we have to actually go and do something. It wasn't something we can resolve online. We have 3 local peace officers to transport through our grant with y'all, with Vance, and there's so much money we're saving that's hard to show. But with our mental health deputies on staff there at the building, if we have someone that we can see that they're starting to go down, we can respond immediately and try and resolve that situation before it becomes something that they have to go to jail, which increases cost for the county and increases. So that's a very, very proactive program that we're running there to try and save money, but most importantly, to help the folks that we're working with. So that's a summary of, so you can see the money that you're giving to MHMR, where is it going and how is it applied? And so that's what this data is for, full transparency, you know, we'll make sure y'all can see what we're doing. But it's tough, I'm ashamed of us because he's on our board, but it's, because of our population and the folks we work with. And then, the staff, I gotta make sure that they're okay. Because they're dealing with everything too, but I've gotta have them kind of be okay to take care of the, because we serve around 4,500 people a year. And then when you look at the family members and friends, and that gets bigger, and so, it's family. I consider y'all family, we're a family, and we're just trying to take care of our folks. And I appreciate anything that y'all give us. I'm not asking for any kind of increase.
You actually asked for a little less.
You're telling us we're,
You know,
that's I was gonna ask if that was on purpose.
2,000.
That transportation.
I'm asking, Dio's asking for more, I don't know, maybe Jessica put something in
That transportation, we asked for last year, we gave you, that looks like it went to really good use.
Oh, yes,
All
100%.
Yeah, and I wish Vance was here, because you can ask him about, he and Joey's not being responsible for things.
Well, that's been quite a few years.
No, that's,
Y'all been doing the transports for 5 years or something?
Yeah.
Oh, that's been.
the
Longer
county,
than that.
it would cost,
So,
The
it doesn't-
county.
how much does she break it to? So, it says MHR and transport, but I mean, it's basically been transport
50,000
money.
for the
That's what we've been
transport.
getting.
5,200.
Yeah, the 50,000 for transport, and then 5,200, just, and that 5,200, now, the cost per person, based on the $5,200, divided by the number of people we serve, comes to $2.38 per person. That's a really good deal. That's $2.38 per person.
So I was just curious, why did the request go down?
well, I
That's
think it
what
was
his-
just probably,
addition.
it sounds like it was maybe a typo.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
Dion didn't prepare that, someone else
I
prepared
would
it
think
for him.
that it would probably,
Thank you.
I made a note to make it seem as much.
I'm gonna write in here as last year's. I mean,
Yeah, that's last year.
Anyway, the least.
Actually, our business office sends that stuff out, and then it's been a little busy.
The library actually only requested 35 instead of 40. Just under the circumstances that on MHMR down here, it should be 5700, same as last year. Am I correct?
I know the library's been closed for the last 3 months.
Well, they should help all they are doing, but they're doing a lot of stuff, but they're upside. They are not totally closed. They're limited.
Good.
They're limited.
Thank you,
stuff
Dan.
in the evenings.
Thank you.
They're not closed.
Thank you for everything you do.
Thank you, it's a,
You're a good guy.
thank you.
Probably the most conservative one in the county.
He is.
Yes, he is very.
This is like a servant. It's the way I view my job, is it's a servant.
I may be calling you COVID hotline myself.
Yeah, well, we got it, it's ready to go.
I'll echo that. I mean, for all that you do, it's unprecedented. We can't thank you enough, and I appreciate your leadership and your tenure at that. So that brought a lot of stability and
Thank you. And we're
You're not
all,
planning on going anywhere, are you, sir?
no, all my family's here. And so, I'm very proud of what you said, thankful for it.
A little at a time, he's moving everybody here.
Yeah, they're in my house every other day, So, which is great. It's an MVP.
It is great.
So,
It's great for us. I don't know if it's great for you, but it's great.
and also to close, we have been open the whole time. Like, we haven't, we've been out, we still have to see clients.
I was gonna say it'd be impossible to close for you.
Yeah, we can, we just absolutely can. We've been very blessed. In our group homes, we haven't had one single positive. I know, we're not just
You're
saying-
definitely an essential service, though.
But there are other centers that have greatly reduced their services.
Oh, yeah.
And we have not.
Furlough people and stuff, and I said, now, we just gotta do what we gotta do, because there's people, and I don't want people to die because they can't get hold of us.
Well, I signed and sent you a little paper the other day that I apologize, but it appears that Mr. Britton's been reappointed.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
You had me going there for a second. My heart's like, oh. All right,
See you.
all right, thank you all.
Thank you.
Guys, have a good day.
I really do. You in control again now?
Yes, sir, but I have no idea where we are.
Well, we're a good Samaritan.
Okay, good Samaritan here. Is it, we got 15 minutes. I had to skip. What is happening?
Well,
She's not here yet.
So, down at Salvation Army, there's no request, so what happened there?
We didn't get anything from them and we had.
The Good Samaritan asked for 3 times. 2.5 times, whatever it is.
Who is this?
The Good Samaritan up there, they're asking for much more. But Salvation Army.
Well, actually, she amended that verbally and said she would love, didn't she? Say that she would love to get what she had this past year, I thought.
Good Samaritan, I haven't, I don't know.
Maybe I'm imagining that. Someone
Sounds
told
like
me
a good plan to me.
that. Someone told me that.
They actually.
Y'all are running ahead, so she'll probably be here at her
Because they
regular
get
time.
4,800 from us, 48 from the city, but it all comes from us. The city pays us 48.
Exactly.
Good Samaritan,
We pay 48, the city pays 48. So the request perhaps has to do with our portion of it.
You know, year before last, we made them send us a finance statement. They didn't send one last year.
We've got one in the book.
You did?
It's in the book, under other county services, you'll have the paperwork.
So maybe what I was understanding was that.
Oh, it may not be in yours, no, it's in ours, we have it.
Yeah, I don't have.
Yeah.
They didn't send
Wait
one
till
last year.
I'm missing a major report. I really hate this stuff out.
Well, talking about all they are doing, about online things they're doing, and programs they're doing. They still take a limited amount of computers, uploading for running, when they're not doing their evening thing, they're not doing their story time, but they're doing a lot of things. Anyway, they're still pretty active.
I just don't ever see cars there.
Y'all could take a break.
Yeah, would y'all like restroom break?
You know, it wouldn't hurt me.
Restroom break, come back at 10:30.
I remember.
All right, we'll take a short
Yeah,
break,
you let-
come back at 10:30.
If you let Wayne leave, he might not come back.
We just gotta go teach all those veterans.